Hi everybody, today's focus is sexy shoulders for summer, and we're starting off with the triple set, and that means 3 different exercises back to back and 3 sets of the following: seated front dumbbell raise, standing side dumbbell laterals, and patty cakes. And first up we have seated front dumbbell raise, and I'm using 5 pounds and did 20 reps, and these are actually like about 7.5 or 8 pounds. They say 5 pounds, but they're a little bit heavier. So just you could count these as probably like close to 8 pounds. 20 reps on here, and seated will make them a little bit stricter because you can't swing your body and cheat. And with these, it's important to keep a slight bend in your elbows and keep your elbows pointing out when you lift up, and make sure you lift from your shoulders and not your hands and arms. Right after that, I got up and went into standing side dumbbell laterals. And I've talked about these in some of my other videos where you want a slight bend in your arm, and I like to think of pushing up from my elbows. I'm pushing my elbows out and up towards the ceiling. And you want to keep your focus right on the shoulder. And for me, I think of that being my only pivot point is my shoulders, so I keep my traps out of it. If you're feeling your traps or your forearms, then your form's a little bit off. Sometimes when you feel your traps, you're thinking of trying to push the dumbbell up too high, and you don't want to think of pushing the dumbbell up. You want to think of pushing your elbows up. And if you're pushing your elbows up, your hands will follow. And here, third exercise, right after those, patty cakes, 20 seconds. And kind of had a slow start here. This was the end of my first week of working out back. Still feeling my elbow a little bit, but it's getting better. And this is the start of the second set, so you're going to repeat all 3 exercises again. So after you do them the first time, all 3 exercises, rest as long as you need to, 30 seconds, a minute. All 3 sets are going to be the same weight and the same amount of reps. So here again, these are like about 8 pounds, 20 reps. And with these, again, you want to focus on not lifting the dumbbell up, because a lot of times when you do that, your elbow drops and then you start to feel your arm a little bit. So you want to think of keeping your elbows pointing out with a slight bend, and you're lifting your elbows up to feel the front of your shoulders. These are for the front of your shoulder. And again, that was 20 reps there. After you get done with those, you go right into the standing side dumbbell laterals. Again, I put 5 pounds because that's what they say, but these are, again, about 8 pounds. And again, you go back to back from one exercise to the next, all 3 exercises in a row, then you get to rest. So that's a triple set. A superset is 2 exercises back to back, and that's what we're going to do next after these. But again, side dumbbell laterals. Here I'm going to show a different angle, and you can see I'm pushing my elbows out to the side. So my upper arm from my shoulder to my elbow kind of stays perpendicular to the floor, and I just push it out and up. If you have your elbows locked in place with a slight bend, your hand's going to follow, so you don't really need to think about bringing your hand up, but think of bringing your elbow up. Again, a lot of times when people think of bringing their hand up, you start to use your arm in your traps and other things. And doing those, you want to feel the side of your shoulder. And those were the patty cakes there, 20 seconds. And here we go, started the third set. Repeat all 3 exercises one more time. We're back to the front dumbbell raises. And again, these are for the front of your shoulder. The second exercise, the side dumbbell laterals, are for the side of your shoulders. And then the patty cakes are a plyometric exercise. And it's conditioning, kind of a conditioning exercise. And it indirectly gets your core and shoulders and arms and chest. So here, showing a different angle for the front dumbbell raise. You want to try to keep your body still and just focus on the front delt, lifting it up. And again, this was 20 reps, and right after those we're going into the side dumbbell laterals again. And I think of my arm as a lever, so I have a slight bend in it and I lock that in place. So if you think of that and think of your arm as a lever and that your elbows fused like that, when you're lifting, your only pivot point is at your shoulder. And again, it took me a long time to figure this one out. And sometimes I would feel my traps, and my traps would give out before my shoulders, and it took me a long time to figure it out. And it really, really helps to, like I said, think of pushing your elbow out and up towards the ceiling. And if you have a problem with feeling your traps or whatever, sometimes if you shorten the motion and not try to bring the dumbbells so high, that helps too. And here on this, the closer you get your feet, the harder it is. The farther you spread your feet, the easier it is. So, and you want to try to keep your abs tight throughout the whole thing and try to keep your hips as still as you can. And that was the end of those. Now we're doing a superset with the 2 following exercises: standing dumbbell presses with your palms in and rear ups. So these are the dumbbell presses here, 10 pounds, and these are probably like about 12.5 pounds or so. And I did 15 reps. And on these, it's very important to get a good stretch. These are for your side delts, where when you turn the dumbbell with your palms facing forward, it gets a little bit more of the front delt. These hit the side delts a little bit more, and it really helps when you stretch down like that. And you want to try to keep your palms facing each other the whole time. So even when you push up, you're keeping them facing in, and when you're at the bottom, make sure those dumbbells, the ends stay facing the mirror. And those were supersetted with the dumbbell rear ups, and these are 8 pounds, 15 reps, and these are kind of like an upright row with a little squeeze back for your rear delt. So this is kind of like an overall shoulder exercise. So when you pull up, you're keeping the dumbbells together, you're pulling up and leading with your elbows. Lead elbows up and then squeeze your elbows back to squeeze the back of your shoulder. And when you come back down, the dumbbells will go back in and close together. They spread apart at the top and then come in. They're close together on the way up and close together on the way down. And here's the start of the second set, the second superset. And you're going to repeat both exercises one more time. And again, 15 reps. And with these, you want to make sure that you're keeping your elbows back and keeping those palms in. Here's a better view here from the side. You don't want to let your elbows and your arms drift forward. You want to keep them back. And you're thinking of pushing straight up, and you're keeping those palms turned in the whole time. And when you look in the mirror, the ends of the dumbbells, you should see the whole end of the dumbbell, not just, you know, a part of it where it's angled. You want to keep it as if it was flat up against the mirror. And sometimes when you're not used to these, it's kind of hard to tell when you're looking in the mirror which way you need to turn them. But again, these are going to be a little bit harder than a regular dumbbell press too, so you probably won't be able to use as much weight as you would on a regular dumbbell press with the palms forward. And this is the second set. Right after those, we go into the dumbbell rear ups. And again, these are about 8 pounds, 15 reps. And here you get to see from a different angle an upright row on the way up. And then you push your elbows back to squeeze those rear delts. And I like to try to keep my elbows, I don't like to let them drop too much right here at the top when I squeeze back. I like to lift up and still try to keep them up nice and high. But do them, the main focus of them is, you know, you're using your shoulders like you do, doing an upright row on the way up, but then when you split them at the top, your main focus is to try to squeeze that rear delt at the top. That's what you're trying to do when you pull your elbows back. So kind of let your elbows go where they need to go in order to do that. And here's another rear delt exercise. We're going to do 3 sets of these with about 30 seconds rest in between each set. And you want to make sure that your tube is crisscrossed. And this was the last exercise. And again, this is good for your rear delts. And first set was 15 reps and 10 burns. And this too is like, I like to keep a slight bend in my arm like this. And when I'm pushing back, I'm thinking, again, it's kind of my elbows leading. And when I say my elbows leading, it's I think of my arm again as a lever. And so it's not just my elbow coming back. I'm thinking of bringing my elbow back and everything else follows. I don't know if that makes sense or not. A lot of times when you think of just bringing your hands back, whether you're doing these or, you know, with the side dumbbell laterals like we were talking about, sometimes your form drifts and then you start feeling other things. So I like to again, think of my arm as a lever, which if that's a lever, the elbow would be in the center. So thinking of bringing, you know, locking that lever in place and thinking of bringing your elbow back, that's the center of the lever. It kind of makes it all go back at the same time. So it's not really like your hand's going back farther than your elbow or your elbow back farther than your hand. You're trying to bring your whole arm back to squeeze that rear delt on the back. And then this was the second set here, and this was 10 reps plus 10 burns. And again, rest as long as you need to. I rested about probably 20 to 30 seconds. I did them pretty quick. And again, you want to make sure that that tube is crisscrossed. You just get a better pull on it. This is the third set. I did 10 reps again here with 10 burns. And with this one too, because you have continuous tension like that, as it gets harder and it gets harder to pull back, rather than really trying to squeeze it all the way back and using other muscles, you can also shorten your motion. That's why I like to do the burns. When my forearm starts to go, I like to do the burns at the end. So anyway, I hope you like this video. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.